Friend. He rode in my car for an hour, so we're very close now. But Randy Brooks, who unfortunately, and I say unfortunately, he's best known for Grandma Got Run Over by a Reindeer. I say unfortunately because his talent goes far beyond that one song. And he's going to share a lot of that with us tonight. What I would like to add is those of you who are not performers, those of you that came in who are not performers, this is totally non-profit. This is, we don't ask for a door charge or anything. If you feel like donating something, it goes to the artists. We actually only had a couple tonight, other than Randy's our feature, of course. He flew in on his own from Dallas, Texas to be here with us tonight. Yes, thank you so much. He did not have to do this, so we appreciate it. But if you would like to make a donation, that would go towards the, it would go towards Randy, and it would go towards two of our artists on the stage, not me. And there's one other that it would not go to tonight. Am I forgetting anything?
No. If anybody wants to donate, they can see me. If not, let's enjoy the night.
You can see.
Take it away, no pressure.
See Randy Grider, or if you want to talk to me, that's fine as well, or Dee Dee. And just let us know. But no pressure, no obligation. Enjoy. Short, very short. Very, very short. Let's check your vocal line. Is this thing working?
You're going to crank him up a little bit, Craig, because he's got soft voice.
Are we on the right mic?
But it's not really this soft.
Well, soft is. Let me, hey, Randy.
Oh, I got it. Never mind. We got the volume all the way down. Let's try this one. Okay, try it.
It could be at the end of this set, I'll have to pay them some money. So we'll see how it goes.
Pretty good.
That microphone is very sensitive, straight on.
Yeah.
Since you'll turn the microphone tilt just a little bit, it'll be a lot more. Yeah.
1, 2, 1, 2, okay.
Sweet spot.
Yeah.
Okay. We'll do a quick sound check. You want to kick out some vocals and guitar?
Sure. Jesus loves me, yes I know, for the Bible tells me so. That's not what I'm going to be doing in the set.
It's a great song. I didn't know you wrote that one.
I wrote that a long time ago. All right, it's going to work, I think. Can you hear the voice okay? Understand the words okay?
Yes. Very clear.
That's all we need. I've got Christmas songs, but before that, let's recognize that it's been a rough year for a lot of people, rough 2 years for a lot of people, and people I know have suffered physically and have suffered financially, and my wife and I have been so lucky. We were hardly touched by any of that. Our family really not so much. We have a long-standing tradition in my house. I wake up every morning when I look over and see Marty open her eyes. I say, we both woke up. It's been a good day so far. And that's his song right here. We both woke up. We're side by side. I'm still your man. You're still my bride. So all in all, I'd have to say that up to now it's been a real good day. I have a pulse, don't call the hearse. You still have teeth, things could be worse. We don't have millions, but we're okay. So up to now it's been a real good day. We still have bills, some aches and pains. We still have hair in the bathroom drain. Some clouds are gray, but we don't know. Rain only makes more flowers grow. Got indoor plumbing, Wi-Fi too. Got beer and wine out the wazoo. Got toilet paper stashed away. So up to now it's been a real good day. I can't do math I suck at sports. There's something crawling in my shorts. Don't own a yacht, ain't that a shame? But you seem to love me just the same. We both woke up, we're side by side. I'm still your man, you're still my bride. I just sold your mother on eBay. So up to now, it's been a real good day. Yes, all in all, I'd have to say that up to now, it's been a real good day. Thank you. Hope it's been a good day for you too.
Starting to pick up already.
Now this one, I have not done very much, but amazingly, I had a request. And my friend Mark Allen Barnett and I wrote together up in Nashville a few years ago. I was staying at his house and he said, do you want to write one? And I said, well, sure, we've never tried to write together before. And he said, what do you want to write? And I said, well, we're going to be playing the Christmas show at the Bluebird, and I've got songs, but you need another Christmas song, so let's write you one. And Mark has his signature song called Tables and Chairs, and it's about the life of the musician and the songwriter. And the signature line in it is, you don't choose music, music chooses you. And I said, I've got an idea, if you're interested, a song about being sick at Christmas, and we could use the line, you don't choose mucus, mucus chooses you. And I thought he was going to throw me out of the house, but instead he said, let's write it. So we did. It always seems to happen on Black Friday. 10,000 screaming shoppers buying things that they don't need. We hurry through Thanksgiving just to stand here in these lines. Then sure enough, someone begins to sneeze. Don't give it any thought until later in the week, when I'm covered up in bed with temperature of 103. All I want is to not be sick for Christmas. Every year my Christmas cheer gets ruined by the flu. That's the only thing that's on my wish list. But you know, you don't choose mucus, mucus chooses you. While everyone drinks eggnog, I'll be chugging Theraflu. They'll be trimming trees and hanging colored lights. I'll hear the Christmas carols coming from the other room. But for me with laryngitis, it will be a silent night. No use in hanging mistletoe above the Christmas tree. With my runny nose and fever, ain't nobody kissing me. All I want is to not be sick for Christmas. Every year my Christmas cheer gets ruined by the flu. That's the only thing that's on my wish list. But you know, you don't choose mucus, mucus chooses you. Kleenex by the handful and a bowl of Tylenol. I smell just like Vicks paper rub and I look just like Rudolph. Santa won't come close enough to leave no gifts for me, cause he knows when you feel bad or good and he sees you when you sneeze. All I want is to not be sick for Christmas. Every year my Christmas cheer gets ruined by the flu. That's the only thing that's on my wish list. But you know, you don't choose mucus, mucus chooses you. Yes, you know, you don't choose mucus, mucus chooses you. I choose. Well, if you think that was sophisticated, it's always bothered me that every love song you've ever heard on the radio has been intentionally written for beautiful people. It's targeted at the most beautiful girl in the world, you know, or the brown-eyed handsome man, or oh, pretty woman. What about the rest of us? do we not deserve a love song too? You may not be pretty, but you look pretty good to me. I may not be handsome, but I'm nice as I can be. Though we may be ugly, come and be my turtle dove. Put a bag over your head and let's make love. Put a bag over your head, babe, and I'll put one over mine. 'Cause from the shoulders down, the two of us, we look just fine. But up above our neck looks like we've both been in a wreck. So put a bag over your head and let's make love. Never use a plastic bag, they make it hard to breathe. A burlap bag will scratch your face, it's much too coarse a weave. A duffel bag's divine, plain old paper works just fine. Go put a bag over your head and let's make love. Put a bag over your head, babe, and I'll put one over mine. 'Cause from the shoulders down, the two of us, we look just fine. But up above our neck looks like we've both been in a wreck. So put a bag over your head and let's make love. Northern folks use Macy's bags, it's Neiman's in the South. Poor folks use a plain brown bag with holes for eyes and mouth. No matter what the source, after they've emptied it, of course, they put that bag over their head and they make love. Put a bag over your head, babe, and I'll put one over mine. 'Cause from the shoulders down, the two of us, we look just fine. But up above our neck looks like we've both been in a wreck. So put a bag over your head and let's make love. Go put a bag over your head and let's make love. You were expecting actual music tonight, weren't you?
This is my side.
I wrote this song, this next song, on November 5th, I believe, or it was inspired on November 5th. I can't tell you for sure what year, but I do remember that it was November 5th. It was in the 80s in Dallas, and I was out. Before I could cut the grass, I had to pick up the last of the Halloween candy wrappers that were out on the lawn. And when I walked back inside in my shorts, sandals, I heard the radio playing Rockin' Around the Christmas Tree. And I thought it was just some sort of promotion for something that was going to be happening in a couple of months. But then another Christmas song came on after that, and another one, and I realized that one of the stations in Dallas had gone to their all-Christmas format immediately after Halloween, when it was so hot outside. And you know, now people are putting their lights up on November 1st, and they've got Thanksgiving trees in the living room. And that year, I went to the big mall in Dallas right before, the day before Thanksgiving. And the whole mall was all Christmassy. I think Santa Claus was even already there. Until I rounded the corner, and there was Nordstrom department store, and their windows were covered with butcher paper. And there was the art department had drawn out turkey on there, and a horn of plenty, and fall scenes, you know, autumn leaves, and that kind of thing. And they had a framed sign by their door that said, Nordstrom's will be decorated for Christmas on Friday, November the 27th. We believe in celebrating one holiday at a time. And that resonated with me so much that I ran right home and I wrote, It's Halloween, a Christmas song. The jack-o'-lantern is almost dead. The trick-or-treaters are all in bed. I'm weary too, but duty calls. Let's knock the eggs and deck the halls. When midnight comes on Halloween, we'll change the orange to red and green. We've heard enough of Monster Mash. Bring on those deer that dance and dash. It's Halloween, let's hang the lights, chop down a tree, play silent night. It's Halloween, no time to waste. Christmas will be here in 55 days. As soon as all the ghouls have gone, we'll place the manger out on the lawn. Where shall we put the wise men free? Next to that werewolf against the tree. There used to be another holiday late in the fall, Thanksgiving Day. No one remembers what that was. Perhaps the birthday of Santa Claus. It's Halloween, let's hang the lights, chop down a tree, play silent night. It's Halloween, no time to waste. Christmas will be here in 55 days. Now on December 25th, we'll wake up early and open gifts. And when we're done, about 9:30, we'll all start writing Valentine. Our one complaint, we Christmas geeks, is that it only lasts 8 weeks. When next year comes, we think we may start decorating on Labor Day. It's Halloween, let's hang the lights, chop down trees, play silent night. It's Halloween, no time to waste. Christmas will be here in 55 days. It's Halloween, let's hang a light. Let's hang a light, chop down a tree. Chop down a tree, play silent night. Play silent night. It's Halloween, no time to waste. Christmas will be here in 55 days. Christmas will be here in 55 days. Come Igor, time to hang the stocking. Yes, master. Thank you. Thank you for singing. This song wasn't remotely on the set list for tonight, but Craig mentioned it on the way up from the airport today that he likes it, and I was so pleased to find finally a person who likes it that I thought I'd do it for you tonight. Must have been inspired by 1 or 2 trips to Mexico back in my 20s. Oh, and by the way, this is sort of a sing-along. You don't have to do much. Whenever I say, no time for schmaltz, if you would just repeat after me, no time for schmaltz, that'll make it more festive, you know. I'm married to an Hispanic woman. This is not her favorite song. Buddies and me, we all did agree we were tired of eating steak and potatoes. So we piled in the car, and since it wasn't too far, we headed down to Nuevo Laredo. Had a plate full of chili rellenos, enchiladas, and some refried beans. But then I noticed old Fred looking 3/4 dead, and I watched him while his face turned green. He rose from the table, he fell to the floor. Doubled over, he staggered and reached for the door. He chose him no partner. There's no time for schmaltz, no time for schmaltz. Thank you. When you find yourself learning the eternally churning Mexican waltz. The enchiladas and beans that made us thirsty and mean. We were ready for some serious drinking. We stopped in every saloon for margaritas, and soon, well, we were more than just drunk, we were stinking. It was along about 4, they were pouring us more, and that cerveza pork chaser on the side. when Amarillo Dan up and bolted for the can with an urge that couldn't be denied. He rose from his bar stool, he fell to the floor. Doubled over, he staggered and reached for the door. He chose him no partner. There's no time for schmaltz, no time for schmaltz, when you find yourself learning the internally churning Mexican waltz. The moon was still out and I was up and about when I ran into the senorita. She was a blue-ribbon bride with those incredible eyes. I couldn't help myself, I had to meet her. I was doing just fine, honey, your place or mine. I didn't have to say another word. I was walking on air and we were just about there when the thing I feared the most occurred. I rose from the brass bed, I fell on the floor. Doubled over, I staggered, reached for my drawers. I abandoned my partner. There's no time for schmaltz, no time for schmaltz, when you find yourself learning the internally churning Mexican waltz. Well, I'm a-telling you, partner, there's no time for schmaltz, no time for schmaltz, when you find yourself learning the internally churning Mexican waltz. Nice job. You know, when you go to a songwriter round in Nashville, it is customary for a writer to save their biggest song for a grand finale and a close out the evening. But I figure I've reached the age where you're never sure you're going to make it to the end of the set. So I'm going to go ahead and do the one that put the kids through college right now and tell you the story. I was in a band in Dallas in the 70s, and my role in the band was sort of a comic relief. I would do one of my novelty songs every set, like the Mexican Waltz, or Will You Be Ready at the Plate When Jesus Throws the Ball, or Put a Bag Over Your Head and Let's Make Love, something like that. And one year it dawned on me that I could maybe write a Christmas song, a Christmas novelty song. And I listened to a bunch of albums that I borrowed from people and checked out a library, get different ideas. And I happened upon a Merle Haggard Christmas album. And I love Merle Haggard, but he had one really bad song on this album. It was called Grandma's Christmas Card. And it wasn't really sung, it was a recitation over a sort of a melancholy fiddle and steel guitar accompaniment. And Merle told the story of Grandma, who was an artist who drew these beautiful Christmas cards. And it was a highlight of the family's Christmas when the card arrived, and they took it in and put it on the mantle in the center of their holiday decorations. It starts sounding, Merle's voice starts sounding more and more mournful as he goes along. And you just know this is going to be one of those formula country songs where for two verses they set you up to love somebody, some beloved old figure, and in the third verse you find out that they've passed away. And I just thought to myself, Merle, you're better than that. I mean, good heavens, if the old lady has passed away, just say so in the beginning of the song, and then if you can still come up with three verses and a chorus, that would be different than all the other country songs. And that thought stuck with me until I crawled in bed that night and the guitar was next to me. And so I picked up the guitar and I was sitting there with my good friend Johnny Walker Black, and we wrote this song. And we asked ourselves, how would Grandma die at Christmas time in a manner uniquely seasonal? And I thought, well, Hit by Santa's Sleigh was the first thing that came to mind. So I jotted down the chorus and the first verse that night, and in the shower the next morning I thought of the second verses, so the second and third verse. And that was about it, and the band agreed to do it, and we sang it at our shows at Christmas time. And a year later, we played out in Lake Tahoe, and we packed up to leave after our 3-week run out there, and the brakes on the van had frozen, and we had to go back into the hotel, check in for another night, so we decided to check out the act that had followed us into the lounge out there. They were real popular out in the Bay Area in northern Nevada. They're called Elmo and Patsy. They were a bluegrass comedy act, kind of a Sonny and Cher kind of thing. And they found out we were in the audience and invited us to get up on stage and do some songs with them. And somebody sent up a request for me to do Grandma. And so I did. And they cornered me at the edge of the stage afterwards and said, would you record that on a cassette recorder for us? We'd like to learn it. It's our kind of, silly song. And about 3 months later, I got a cassette in the mail. And come to find out, they decided to go into a studio in Nashville and record it. And they said, we're going to make a record and just sell it from the front of the stage during the holidays, along with our other albums that we've got. And so now I was really excited, that my name was going to be on a record label, even if the label was Oink Records, and it was just going to be sold at harvest festivals, and casinos. But somebody, a friend of theirs, bought that record and took it into KSFO in San Francisco to the most popular morning jockey in town, Gene Nelson. And he put the record on the air. And the way he tells it, the phones at the station rang off the hook with people saying, don't ever play that record again. But other people then started calling and saying, do play it again. And so it got a lot of attention. It got, the San Francisco Chronicle wrote a whole front page of the entertainment section article about Elmo and Patsy and this song. And that got sent by wire services around the country, and therefore news reports started talking about this song before most people had heard it. And so radio stations started saying, how can we get it? And so it slowly spread out like that for 3 or 4 years. And finally, I think Christmas of 1983, Billboard was doing a holiday singles chart. And in the last week before Christmas, White Christmas and Grandma switched places, and Grandma was their #1 Christmas song. And I was just blown away. And at that point, Epic Records came along and said, we'll take the distribution on it. And once it got on a major label, then it went everywhere. And they say that your songs are like your kids. Once they grow up, you don't always know where they are. And that's true. I don't know what this one's doing a lot of times, but it's been really, really good to me. And the only complaint I think that I ever had, it's the first time I heard it on the radio, I was so excited. But I thought, I pictured this whole thing being sung by Merle Haggard, or somebody who sounds just like Merle Haggard, and a person who has no idea there's any humor to the lyrics. They're singing it really straight. And this was not that. It sounded more like a hee-haw rendition. And I thought, that's really probably not the way that song should have been recorded. But then, just right away, royalty checks started coming in the mail every 6 weeks. And I said, that's exactly the way that song was meant to be recorded. So, I don't sound like Elmo, but I'm very grateful to him. Grandma got run over by a reindeer walking home from our house Christmas Eve. You can say there's no such thing as Santa, but as for me and Grandma, we believe. She'd been drinking too much eggnog, and we begged her not to go. But she forgot her medication, so she staggered out the door into the snow. When they found her Christmas morning at the scene of the attack, she had footprints on her forehead and incriminating claws marks on her back. Grandma got run over by a reindeer walking home from our house Christmas Eve. You can say there's no such thing as Santa, but as for me and Grandpa, we believe. Now we're all so proud of Grandpa. He's been taking this so well. See him in there watching football, drinking beer and playing cards with Cousin Mel. It's not Christmas without Grandma, All the family's dressed in black, and we just can't help but wonder, should we open up her gifts or send them back?
Send them back.
Thank you. Grandma got run over by a reindeer walking home from our house Christmas Eve. You can say there's no such thing as Santa, but as for me and Grandpa, we believe. Now the goose is on the table, and the pudding made of fig, and the blue and silver candle that would just have matched the hair of Grandma's wig. I warned all my friends and neighbors, better watch out for yourselves. They should never give a license to a man who drives a sleigh and plays with elves. Grandma got run over by a reindeer walking home from our house Christmas Eve. You can say there's no such thing as Santa, but as for me and Grandpa, we believe. Sing along if you want to. Grandma got run over by a reindeer walking home from our house Christmas Eve. You can say there's no such thing as Santa, but as for me and Grandpa, we believe. You can say there's no such thing as Santa, but as for me and Grandpa, we believe. Merry Christmas, y'all. So, yes, sir.
Is there any, I don't know how to say this without sounding stupid, was there any connections with that and the cartoon?
Well, I mean, the cartoon's based on that.
Oh yeah, I guess, I just remember, I bought it that like about, when it was little, VHS was still a thing, but it was, bought that like 15 years ago when my nephew was about 6. And he found out we had it, and we had to watch it about a week in August. And every time he came over, he wanted to watch that like 2 or 3 times.
Wow, that's amazing. Most people don't want to watch it once, but that.
I did, but it was like 5 or 6 at the time. Where's Grandma got ran over by a reindeer?
That is so great. There were actually, I guess back around 1998, 1999, there were 3 different animation outfits that were approaching us about turning it into a cartoon. And the one fellow who took me and took Elmo out to breakfast in Nashville one day and did his pitch. He was the former head of specials for CBS. He had put together the Grand Ole Opry 75th anniversary celebration, and Carol Burnett anniversary special, all this stuff. So he had good credentials, and he said, if you let me do it, it's not going to be any of this cheap Japanese animation. It's going to be good stuff, and it'll put your kids through college. And well, that was a pretty convincing pitch. Then when I first saw it, it's cheap Japanese animation, and it's got all these Japanese animators listed on it. And in fact, the guy who wrote the incidental music is Japanese, and he was getting my royalties for a little while until we straightened that out. But it took it a while to pay off, but it eventually did, because he started doing a bunch of merchandising based on the thing. And it's not great, but it's the best thing the CW network has to show it. So they have it on twice every year, and I think AMC is putting it on now too. So I'm very grateful to that, and toys and all the different tie-ins that have come out of it. Randy?
I was wanting to ask, because most of your songs, you call them novelty songs, comedy. Is that something that runs in your family? Of course, I know your uncle is Oscar Brooks, and many movies always played the drunk and landed a lot of comedy roles in different movies. Is that something you got? Is it a family type thing, or you always wanted to be funny?
Some of us do, and some of us don't. I was always kind of the class clown, and sometimes that worked out for me, and sometimes it didn't, you know. But it's just the way my mind worked. I started watching Marx Brothers movies when I was about 10 years old and started looking for plays on words and ways to turn things that people said back on them and make it, make a joke out of it. But that's just the way my mind runs.
Well, one more, I'm sorry, just gonna have, were you close to Foster Brooks, your uncle, or I know he's your dad's brother, is that right?
Yeah, and I grew up in Louisville and he lived in Louisville, but he moved away when I was still fairly young, to first up to upstate New York and then out to California to try to make it as an actor. But we stayed in touch, and especially after the song came out and I started playing in bands and traveling back and forth, I would visit him when I went through Las Vegas or something like that, and just stayed at his house. So we were. He was a good guy. He was a pretty stern taskmaster, unlike the lovable drunk that he played on TV. He was a pretty serious guy in real life and quit drinking at an early age. He said a guy bet him $5 he couldn't quit drinking when he was, I don't know, in his 30s or something. And he said at the time I needed the $5, and he quit drinking.
Rich had a question.
I was going to say, or in the video, Mel is a woman. Did you picture Mel as a woman or a man?
Absolutely not. They didn't ask me for any input. I offered it, but they didn't ask me for any input. And I think Mel may have been written with Michelle Lee in mind, the actress who voiced it, because her husband was the producer who put the thing together. In my mind, after I got the chorus down and I started thinking, now what am I going to write about in the verses, I started thinking back on family Christmases when I was real little, and we would go over to my aunt's house, and we'd have Christmas dinner, and then once dinner was over, the women would all take the dishes out of the kitchen, the men would go in and set up the card tables in the living room, and they would watch football on black and white TV, and they'd smoke cigars, and they would drink beer and play pinochle. And so, actually, my grandfather's two brothers were Uncle Lewis and Uncle Henry, and that didn't fit the meter of the song, so they combined to become Cousin Mel. And my grandmother did wear a wig. It wasn't blue and silver, but it was a color not found in nature, and she did like her bourbon, and we did worry about her once or twice when she was leaving the house, are you going to be okay? And so there were some things from my family, and sadly, my grandmother did not make it long enough to hear that song, because I think she would have been honored by it.
I'm sure she would.
And then one more story. When I was in college in Nashville, it wasn't until my senior year, I think, that I started thinking seriously about trying to write songs. And what I really didn't know was how you go from writing them to getting them to people. And so I started going around to the country music show tapings that were going on at the time, where Nashville was just rich in those things back when I was in college. And one time I went to the taping of the Porter Wagner show, and on a commercial break I caught Dolly, and I think she's probably only 23 years old at the time. And I asked for advice, and all she told me was, she said, honey, if it's what you love doing, you just keep on doing it, and I just know one day something great is going to happen for you. And coming up here between now and Christmas, Dolly and Jimmy Fallon will be singing part of Grandma on the Tonight Show. So I feel like that's just life coming full circle. Very, very cool. So I'm appreciative of all the good fortune that come my way, and I realize that I didn't do much to earn it. It's just been a lucky life for me. Okay, let's do this one. It's one other song that came out of the pandemic time. I occasionally attend this thing down in Austin called the Southwest Regional Folk Alliance. And what it is, it's a 3-day convention, really, of singer-songwriters. They all pile into a Holiday Inn down there, and there's seminars, and there's concerts, and showcases, and promoters will come, house concert promoters and stuff. And one of the interesting things about this conference is that when you check in, you draw a paper out of a fishbowl, and it's got a word or a phrase on it, and you're supposed to use that word or phrase as the springboard to writing a song And at the Sunday buffet at the end of the conference, everybody who has the nerve gets up and sings this brand new song for all these other songwriters. And last year, 2020, was a virtual conference, of course, but they emailed you your prompt. And my prompt was your view of marriage. That's a dangerous thing to ask somebody after you've been cooped up in the house for 6 months, just you and your spouse. So I said, well, but that's pretty easy for me, because from everything I've heard for the last 6 months, my view of marriage is bad husband. She said, husband, run down to the store, pick up a quart of milk, and if they've got some eggs, bring back a dozen. The store had eggs, so like she said, I bought 12 quarts of milk. As soon as I got home, she started cussing. Bad husband, you can't do nothing right. Bad husband, sleep on the couch tonight. You're incompetent, you're sad. You ain't nothing like my dad. Ooh, you make me mad. Bad husband. She said, husband, there's a sack of red potatoes by the stove. Peel half of them and put them in a pot. So I peeled half of every one and put them on to boil. The water and the wife, they both got hot. Bad husband, you can't do nothing right. Bad husband, sleep on the porch tonight. You're incompetent, you're sad. You ain't nothing like my dad. Ooh, you make me mad. Bad husband. Now from years of long experience, I've got a tip for men. Just do it wrong the first time and you won't get asked again. Bad husband, dumber than a box of rocks. Bad husband, or is he slyer than a fox? You're incompetent, you're sad. You ain't nothing like my dad. Ooh, you make me mad. Bad husband. She said, husband, get up off the couch and put yourself to work. Go down and fold the clothes inside the dryer. So I climbed in and folded just exactly like she said. And you'd have thought I set those clothes on fire. Bad husband, you can't do nothing right. Bad husband, sleep in the yard tonight. You're a dunce, you are dense. You're devoid of common sense. You're half-witted, you're obtuse. You have more than one screw loose. You're incompetent, you're sad. You ain't nothing like my dad. Ooh, you make me mad. Bad husband. Bad husband. Thank you. Talked about this one a little bit in the other room. After Grandma had been out a couple of years and was getting a lot of play on the radio as a single, I got a call one day from Elmo and Patsy, and they said, this thing is it's really doing well for us, and we think we ought to capitalize by making a whole album of Christmas music with Grandma as the title cut. Do you have any other songs you'd like for us to consider? Any other Christmas songs? And I said, I don't, but could I call you back in 20 minutes? Because I said, I'm not going to miss a chance to get another cut, So I ran out real quickly and started thinking, what has not already been written about to death at Christmas time? Santa Claus, Christmas trees, reindeer, How about a poinsettia? And I thought, I want this to be a kid's song, to sort of apologize for Grandma Got Run Over, because Grandma was a song written to sing to drunks in a bar. It was never intended for children to hear it. And mostly because of the line, you can say there's no such thing as Santa. I didn't want to plant that seed in kids' heads. And now it's turned out that they've got children's cartoons about it, and it's on kids' albums and stuff. But at the time, I said, let's write a children's song. And it was sort of I was thinking in terms of Charlie Brown and Peanuts when I wrote this, about the poor little wilted poinsettia who was the last one left in the shop on Christmas Eve. bloom in dismay. If they had just kept him wet up, he'd be a houseplant today. Folks like the other plants better. Now he's alone on the shelf. Even a plant with no uncle or aunt shouldn't spend Christmas Day by himself. Holiday shoppers would stop at the counter and pick out a plant to take home. One at a time, all his friends were adopted till Percy was left all alone. Percy, the puny poinsettia, hanging his bloom in dismay. If they had just kept him wet, he'd be a houseplant today. Folks like the other plants better. Now he's alone on the shelf. Even a plant with no uncle or aunt shouldn't spend Christmas Day by himself. Then into the shop on the day before Christmas came a poor little girl who was crying. And when they saw Percy, her eyes opened wide, and she said, "Can I please make him mine?" Now Percy, the puny poinsettia, is standing beside Mr. Tree. His leaves, they've never been redder. He's as proud as a houseplant can be. Somebody made him feel better, rescued him off of the shelf. Even a plant with no uncle or aunt should spend Christmas Day by himself. Even a plant with no uncle or aunt should spend Christmas Day by himself. So the other part of that story is that they did put it on their album. It was, again, a self-released album. And when Epic Records came along and said, we're going to take the album and the single and put them out, they moved Percy onto the B side of the single. So even though nobody ever heard it, it sold 1 million copies along with Grandma, and it sold 1 million copies on the album too, so cha-ching. Another thing that came out of having a Christmas hit was I got a letter in the mail just before email got popular, I guess. I got a letter from this 5 female group that was getting ready to make their debut on the Grand Ole Opry. And they said, it's going to be around Christmas time. We thought it'd be kind of fun if we did a Christmas novelty song. Do you have anything for us? So I sent them what songs I had, and they wrote back. And they said, that's nice, but we were thinking of a Christmas novelty song from a feminine perspective. I didn't have that. So I went in the other room and I put on a skirt and a little bit of makeup and tried to think, what does this feel like? And I came up with an idea for a Christmas song from a feminine perspective, and I sent it off to them, and I never heard another word from them. You'll see why. But my friend Elmo recorded it with a trio of girl singers in the background, kind of an Andrews Sisters thing, and I guess somebody heard it because there's on YouTube there's a girl doing an off-Broadway comedy cabaret act in New York using this song in her act, so somebody's heard it. I won't be spending Christmas wishing that I had some place to go. This gal's had a proposition from someone whom I think you know. Ho, ho. I'm going on a date with Santa, the man with the big red bag. It's not a romance, just dinner and dance, but I know the tongues will wag. I'm going on a date with Santa, I'm leaving my care behind. And I hope Mrs. Claus, hope Mrs. Claus, hope Mrs. Claus don't mind. I went to the mall and I sat on his lap. He gave me a picture ditch and I gave him a slap. He hung candy canes on the front of my blouse. I think something stirred and it wasn't a mouse. He gave me a nod and I gave him a wink. He asked if I'd like to go out for a drink. I know that he's old and he's way overweight, but I couldn't resist a celebrity date. So I'm going on a date with Santa, the man with the big red bag. It's not a romance, just a dinner and dance, but I know the tongues will wag. I'm going on a date with Santa, I'm leaving my cares behind. And I hope Mrs. Claus, hope Mrs. Claus, hope Mrs. Claus don't mind. I'm rolling my hair up on little round pegs. I'm fluffing and flossing and shaving my legs. I know that it's silly, I ought to get real. If he sees when I'm sleeping, then what's the big deal? He's picking me up around 4:45. He said that we'll go to some quaint little dive. I asked him which one, and he said he's not sure, but it'll be someplace that doesn't mind reindeer manure. I'm going on a date with Santa, the man with the big red bag. It's not a romance, just a dinner and dance, but I know the tongues will wag. I'm going on a date with Santa, I'm leaving my cares behind. And I hope Mrs. Claus, hope Mrs. Claus, hope Mrs. Claus don't mind. He knows that I'm naughty, he says it's okay. To tell you the truth, he prefers it that way. I know he leaves gifts under everyone's tree, but he says that he's got something special for me. I asked what she'd do if his wife ever found her jolly old man and fooling around. He told me they keep their affairs to themselves, and he'd rather not talk about her and the elves. I'm going on a date with Santa, the man with the big red bag. Not a romance, just a dinner and dance, but I know the tongues will wag. I'm going on a date with Santa, I'm leaving my cares behind. And I hope Mrs. Claus, hope Mrs. Claus, hope Mrs. Claus don't mind.
All right, folks. It's like, yeah, about 10 off, so we're going to have time for a couple more songs. Has anybody got any questions at this time? He answers them pretty much as he goes, don't he? So, everybody having a good time? Yeah. Oh, thank you. I am too.
Thank you all for being here.
And remember that if you would like to donate, please see Randy Grider or myself. Otherwise, thank you all for coming, and let's enjoy the last couple of songs.
I do, if anybody's interested, I'm not a hard seller, but I do have a couple of CDs for sale. I charge the big bucks. It's $15 for one or 20 if you want them both. I've only, in my lifetime, ever written one song for my wife. We've been married almost 35 years. But she's heard these other songs, and so she really didn't want me to write a song for her. But I blew out a disc in my back several years back, and I had to wait about an hour, about a day and a half, no, a week and a half, until I could get into surgery. And I was just pretty much incapacitated. I couldn't walk. And she was Florence Nightingale. She took such beautiful care of me and never once complained. I don't know if it had been me taking care of her, it would have been a different story. But she was such a good caretaker, and I thought, I wish there was something I could do to show my appreciation. And the guitar was there beside the bed, and I thought, well, I could write a song, but what in the world would I say in a serious song? And at that moment, she walked around the corner with one of the pain pills she was bringing me to take every hour on the hour. And I thought, you're my legs when I can't walk. And that was the springboard for this song that got it started. You're my voice, babe, when I cannot talk. You're my two legs when I cannot walk. You're the anchor in my deep blue sea. You're the whole lot better half of me. You're the answer when I can't explain. I'm versing, you're my sweet refrain. You're the sugar babe in my sweet tea. You're the whole lot better half of me. You're the palm tree on my tropic isle, and you're the accessory that's always in style. You're the only one can make me smile when my world's a darker shade of gray. You're the ringtone on my telephone. You're the sprinkles on my ice cream cone. I'll be yours until eternity. You're the whole lot better half of me. You're the angel on my Christmas tree, and you're the umbrella in my daiquiri. You're the candles on my birthday cake. You're the goodness and for goodness sake. You're my voice, babe, when I cannot talk. You're my two legs when I cannot walk. You're the anchor in my deep blue sea. You're the whole lot better half of me. You see, you're the whole lot better half of me. Ooh-wee, you're the whole lot better half of me. Good morning. Thank you. I guess 2018 was the last time we did our Christmas show at the Bluebird, and one of the guys on the round that I was singing in was Aaron Barker, who wrote the Christmas Cookies song and who wrote Love Without End, Amen for George Strait. And after I finished that song, Aaron said, I was watching your wife while you sang that song, and he said, I'm telling you now that the look on her face, expression on her face, was better than any gold record she could ever get. It's the sweetest thing anybody's ever said, you know. Okay, get it together. Thank you all so much for coming out tonight. It's been great, great meeting y'all and sharing cookies with you. Should close with a Christmas song. This one I actually wrote for Kenny Rogers and Dolly Parton. They were never aware of it, but I wrote for them anyway. When I was just a child, I can remember the way a Christmas morning used to be. I'd wake before the sun, throw the covers off and run to see what Santa left beneath the tree. Church bells in the distance were proclaiming there's some peace on earth that will come in. Now all I need to do is come running home to you, and I get that Christmas feeling once again. You make me feel like it's Christmas all year long. You decorate my mind with memories and fill my heart with song. And I don't have to wait until December comes along. You make me feel like it's Christmas all year long. No matter whether snow is gently falling or carolers are gathered in the streets, my love for you is the same in the sunshine or the rain, in bitter cold or blazing summer heat. There's no need to wrap me up a present. Don't waste your money, darling, 'cause you see, just knowing you'll be near every season of the year is the greatest gift that you could give to me. You make me feel like it's Christmas all year long. You decorate my mind with memories and fill my heart with song. And I don't have to wait until December comes along. You make me feel like it's Christmas all year long. When someone asks me what I want for Christmas, I know it may sound strange, but I reply, the first thing on my list is that I be hugged and kissed by you from now until the day I die. This Christmas Eve when Santa comes to our house, I'm gonna keep you out of sight because I know if he saw you, he would feel the way I do and take you home and leave me Mrs. Claus. You make me feel like it's Christmas all year long. You decorate my mind with memories and fill my heart with songs. And I don't have to wait until December comes along. You make me feel like it's Christmas all year long. You make me feel like it's Christmas all year long. Bum, 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 bum. Thank you very much. Thank you for having me.